The title of the presentation is The Vitality Formula, Optimizing Exercise, Nutrition, Sleep, and Emotional Wellness. This presentation was inspired by Peter Attia's book, Outlive. Then I came upon a part that really talked about prioritizing exercise, nutrition, sleep, and emotional wellness. And that really spoke to me on a deep level. And a little bit about why I'm here. My name is Dédalo Purificação, but feel free to call me D because that's a lot easier. I used to work here in Kings County. I used to teach relationship education, work throughout the state. I worked in domestic violence. I've worked with youth shelters and as a consultant in a broad base of areas. But one of the biggest things, when you're in social services, you notice a lot of issues with emotional wellness, mental health. But you see the things that can lead to that too. You see the whole structure of poverty and neglect and issues that just can really harm people throughout their lives and things of that nature. And then you see a lot of success stories too, and that informs you as well. And so one of the things I've noticed, you live in this time where on our phone, we can learn about anything that we want. We can learn about a recipe, we can learn about what macronutrients to eat, we can learn how to get somewhere, GPS. Yet illness is rising. We're getting sicker. Our life expectancy is getting shorter in the United States. And there's not as many, I don't believe, or I haven't noticed, open communal conversations about that. Why are people sicker, but we have more resources, we have an army of nurses and doctors, but people are sicker than ever. Before I start the presentation, I wanted to honor our differences. All of us are different in how we see fitness, how we see nutrition, our sleep habits. Some of us are night owls, some of us like to wake up early, and how we see emotional wellness. And what I'm going to talk about today is one perspective. There's not one way to get to each of these places. So as I'm talking, please feel free to raise your hand. Hey, I got a suggestion on this, or I see it this way, or what do you think about this? Because this is not the pinnacle of health. This is one way to get to health. And I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. And if we have some time before the library club, we'll let them kick us out today. We'll talk some more about it. I'd love to hear your perspectives, okay? I want us to think about this presentation from the mindset of optimization. Where I'm going to come from this presentation is optimizing a set of circumstances. So it's not to say if I'm talking about I'm going to talk about resistance training. It's not to say swimming is bad or going for a nice long walk is bad. It's exercise. What types of exercise interest you guys? I'd be interested to hear. Does anybody have a particular one that they like?
Just walking.
Walking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that roller skating.
Roller skating. Let me write these down so I don't forget. Walking, roller skating. Anybody else?
I have this device. It's like a climber. I really like that. And then it's sort of like the other one I have is not an elliptical, but it's like I don't know what it's. I got it from TikTok shop.
Is it like a
but it's a full body workout, and you can change.
Is it like a stair climber? Or?
I have one like that, yes, and then I also have the one you kind of you're standing. Huh?
No, that's something else.
It's not like an elliptical because you're not going like this, but I don't know, but it works.
I'm gonna write something.
Yeah, well, the climber. You can put the climber because that's a really good workout. The climber is a really good.
But it works, does it? You
It
like
does.
it?
Yeah, it is effective.
Anybody else have any other exercises they like?
And squats.
We got squats.
Yeah.
Squats are really good.
Yeah.
Calisthenics, right?
Yeah.
Calisthenics. Okay. This is great. So exercise is so important to our health, and everything that we're going to talk about today ties into each other. Like it adds, there's not, oh man, I can exercise amazing and I can sleep horribly. And I can feel like the worst person in the world and I can eat really bad, but my life's great. Everything has an integration. Our bodies function in that way. We have lungs and kidneys and liver and brain, and everything affects each other. So it's the same with this. And what I'm going to talk about in regards to exercise is almost all exercises either are or with modifications can become a form of resistance training that you can progressively overload. So I'll talk about progressive overload here in a minute, but I use the examples of cardio, stretching, and weightlifting. So roller skating is a form of cardio, I imagine, right? Do you do the roller derbies?
No.
Okay, so when I went to Humboldt State, and I lived in different places where they did roller derbies, and that's not just cardio, man, that's full on weightlifting. You're lifting people off the ground. So walking, cardio, right? Stair climber, I would say resistance and cardio.
Yeah.
And calisthenics is both as well. So let me use an example real quick. Let's say we're, this is gonna look funny, but like, let's say we're at the gym and we're doing, hey guys, let's do some dumbbell curls, right? So we grab a dumbbell and we just start going like this really slow, right? So what do you guys think I'm doing? Like, would you say I'm doing weightlifting, cardio, or stretching? If I'm just doing a dumbbell curl. Stretching, that's a good point, stretching. Because you see that the muscles being contracted and coming back and forth, right? I'm also doing weightlifting, right? I'm lifting a dumbbell. Okay. If I did that dumbbell exercise and I just put it down and instead of waiting a minute, I wait 15 seconds, 20 seconds, now I'm doing a cardio exercise too. Or if I do it faster, at a lighter weight, it's cardio. So one of the things that is important for us to understand is that everything we do can be something more than what it is. Have you guys ever heard of people going for a walk and they wear like a weighted vest? Ankle weights, things of that nature. Some people go on a walk and they focus on their posture, they engage their abs. Sorry, like a little funny, but you can modify all of your exercises to fit whatever your needs are. Whatever you're interested in is what really matters. So, why resistance training? Some benefits. Increased muscle mass. Well, why do we want to have more muscle? Because it supports our weight control, it increases bone health, slows aging, and decreases pain. Improved bone density, it helps with osteoporosis, preventing osteoporosis or weakened bones, which is a big problem as we age, any of us who have older parents or grandparents. Enhanced metabolism, it burns more calories, we want that. We want to be able to eat a little bit more food if we can. Improved cardiovascular health, reduction in chronic diseases, which is a huge problem like high blood pressure and diabetes. Enhanced body composition, we look better, we feel better. And improved mood, reduced stress, and enhanced cognitive function. Exercising of any form, particularly resistance training, can be a great stress reliever. So the basics matter. Is everyone here familiar with like the concept of reps and sets? You know, a rep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 curls. Okay, that was one set of 5 curls, right? And why does that matter? Why did I just do that? Well, because we want to track what we're up to. If we want to be able to understand if we're getting better, tracking your fitness matters. And so we've all met the people at the gym that are like, whoa, they're working out really hard. So we want to make sure that not only are we measuring how far we can go, but we have to understand our limitations. And the science says that a person should do no more than 10 sets per muscle group per workout. So if you're going to do your glutes or your hamstrings or your quads, it's good to know and to track what you're doing so you can understand, hey, am I doing too much? Because the science actually shows if you do too much, it hurts your muscles. It actually hurts muscle growth. A person should also do no less than 10 to 20 sets per week per muscle group. We definitely want to track and understand what we're up to. So as it relates to lifting weights, the sweet spot per exercise is usually 2 to 6 sets and 8 to 20 reps. Progressive overload. Gradually increasing the stress placed on the body over time to promote adaptations such as increased strength, muscle mass, and endurance. So you see this a lot at the gym. Someone will be at the gym for 3 months. They'll stop, maybe they have their first child, and then they don't go for 5 months, they come back, they can't lift the same amount of weights. They can't. They can't do the same on the stair stepper, they can't walk the same amount, because they progressively overloaded over that time that they were working out. And now they had their baby, they're not working out the same, and their body naturally goes to atrophy. And so you constantly, and then you gotta be humble and you gotta say, I used to lift 100 pounds, now I gotta lift 50. And then I go to 52 and a half, 55, 57. And that's progressive overload. You constantly want to be checked. So these two connect from the standpoint of, hey, let's say you're trying to get 8 to 12 reps, and that's hypertrophy for you. You can do 13 reps of an exercise, well now it's time to go up to a new weight. Let's say you're roller skating. I roller skate for 5 minutes, breathing through my nose, I'm not even tired, I'm not even bored. Well, I'm gonna roller skate for 10 minutes. That's progressive overload, all right? So the reason that it's important is it increases muscle stimulation, and resilience is really just about finding your personal sweet spot. And here are some basic recommendations, cardio, stretching, resistance training of how many times per week and the amount of time you should be putting into it. But the most important part here is what can you handle? If you're somebody who can go running for an hour and a half and you're training for a half marathon and you feel amazing, more power to you. If you're someone that you're doing 25 minutes and you're out of breath, you're pushing yourself and maybe over time you get to 30. Stretching, one little note about stretching, you're tearing muscle fibers when you stretch. So if you're lifting weights and stretching, be careful because that's like doing double workouts. So that's one of the things that sometimes they don't teach us. They don't tell us like you're tearing muscle fibers when you do everything. You might be working out one day lifting weights and then, on my off days I go swimming. Well, if you're swimming really hard, you're also tearing muscle fibers. And then you're going to the gym, you're at more risk of injury. So the recovery is so important when it comes to your workouts and understanding the balance of how you put your workout together and what you want to do. Like I said earlier, failure in fitness is fruitful, it's informative, and essential to your growth, health, and development. We're taught failure, very often in life we're taught failure is something to avoid. It's scary. It makes us look a certain type of way. The cool thing about fitness, about any kind of fitness you choose to do, is that pushing yourself to the limit and finding failure is really gratifying. It's giving you information, it's teaching you where you're at, and it's giving you a carrot to go someplace new. And in that way, we can be curious and not be intimidated or go away from it. And also, let's remember, the only person you're comparing yourself to is yourself. This is by Jasmine Badria. It's called the Holistic Fitness Starter Guide. There's Scientific Principles by Mike Turtel, and then there's a Muscle Ladder by Jeff. By the way, guys, at the end, I'm going to give you guys my email. And so if anyone wants a PDF of this whole presentation, I'll send that to you guys too, because I know it might be hard to see. So let's get into nutrition. I think it's important when you're trying to be the best at anything in your life, you want to compare yourself to the best, or to the people that are doing it at a high level. And so this isn't to knock the United States. I love, I'm born here, I love this country. But the truth of the matter is, when it comes to life expectancy, the leader in the world is Japan at 85 years. They're also healthier much later in life. In Japan, people do not generally get sick in their 60s and in their late 60s, early 70s. They're getting sick like before they pass away. America, the life expectancy has actually gone down. It's down to 77. We're in 48th place in the world. We have 43% of the population in the United States is technically obese. And in Japan, it's 4%. They almost have no childhood obesity because they really prioritize health and wellness in the schools. So we are the 9th richest country per person in the world. Japan is the 39th richest country per person in the world. Yet, the government pays a significant portion of healthcare costs, and in America, 65% of people that are here work for private healthcare, which is for-profit healthcare. So why do I bring that up? Well, I don't want to be negative, but I also want to be real. I think healthcare is treated as taboo here sometimes. Have we ever met anybody in our lives that's scared to go to the doctor because of the money that it costs? They're terrified of, I'm not going to call the ambulance. I'm going to just walk to the hospital. And it's like, I want to pay $2,000. And in other countries, they don't deal with that. And that creates less insecurity, which means more people are open to learning about the things they have to do. They also have healthier mental health, generally speaking. Therefore, they're more apt to communicate about the issues they're having health-wise. And they're also more open-minded about, it's a national pride in Japan. Hey, we don't want to go bankrupt with our socialized healthcare, so we got to, our kids got to eat healthy. In America, it's the opposite. It's, the sicker you are, the more money this company makes. And so what are we trying to do here? What we put into our body is extremely, extremely important. Healthy proteins aid muscle growth and repair, assist in weight management, strengthen bones, boost immune function, regulate blood sugar, boost metabolism, and more. So I put protein at the very top of the 3 macronutrients. You have proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Healthy fats provide energy for the body, assist in cellular function, nutrient absorption, hormone production, brain function, satiety, and more. They have their place. They're important. Healthy carbohydrates provide energy, support brain function, aid digestion, improve mood, and sleep, and can be nutrient-rich. So, does anybody remember, like in the 90s, there might be some people here that weren't alive in the 90s, but there was like a war on fats. It was like, you gotta get the light sour cream, man, because it's gonna clog your heart if you eat any sour cream. And oh man, if you eat meat, you're gonna die, you're gonna explode, because bacon is gonna kill you. And nowadays, what's the war? What is the war against now? It's against carbs. You gotta be on the keto diet. Oh, you ain't on the keto diet? Man, I lost 1,000 pounds on the keto diet. Carbs are evil. They're gonna cause diabetes. They're gonna cause this. They're gonna do that. And a lot of people write a lot of literature, and there's a lot of science that's funded to debunk things for other interests. So, like, if I'm a bacon farmer and I'm a part of the bacon industry, I want to support a study that says carbohydrates are evil. So you don't buy cereal. I want you to eat bacon every morning because it's great for you. So you should be on the keto diet, right? And if I'm a cereal guy, I'm telling you all the things that are horrible about fat. And so we live in a funky country in that regards because a lot of things are capitalistic. I love America, but it's true. So we got to understand that all healthy macronutrients, which means protein, fats, and carbs, the healthy versions of those, all healthy macronutrients help us in some way, shape, or form when consumed in moderation. Diets that exclude macronutrients or heavily limit them and lots of calories aren't necessary most of the time. So if they're telling you to go on keto, well, that's fine. Can you lose weight on keto? Yes, you can. So what's the best diet lifestyle to maintain muscle, to lose unnecessary fat, and to maintain a healthy form without having to sacrifice more than necessary? Well, what if I told you that with some discipline, some basic math and understanding which macronutrients to prioritize, we can maintain a healthy body fat percentage, body weight, and feel great doing it. So here is part of that vitality formula. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to use a 200-pound person, okay? So most people are trying to lose weight in some way, shape, or form. At some point in their life, they're trying to lose a little bit of weight. It could be a few pounds, it could be a lot of weight. But we get on these diets, right? We're on keto, or we're on paleo, or we're on the, I don't eat anything, and I exercise, and it's extreme. Has anyone watched The Biggest Loser? It's amazing what they do on that show. Those people, it's a very inspiring show. People love it. Does anybody know what has happened to a lot of people who have been on that show? They've gained pretty much almost everyone, if not everyone that's been on that show has gained all the way back. Yeah. Pretty much all that way back. Because what happens is it's a short-term solution, but life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So it's like, yeah, we have these habits that are extreme to lose all this weight, but then you're on this show for 2 months, and then what's going to happen the rest of your life? Hard truth about dieting is that the reality is it is a simple math problem. And yeah, can you eat Oreos and survive? Yes, but you're going to be starving because there's no nutrition. So you have to balance your calorie intake with your nutrition. So let's take the example of a 200-pound person, okay? So you are 200 pounds, this person. There's a number 15. Why that number is there, I have no idea, but I listen to the scientists, and they say times your weight by 15, okay? So this 200-pound person wants to start losing weight. So 200 times 15 is 3,000, okay? 3,000 minus 500 is 2,500, okay? That is the amount of calories you have to have every day to lose weight in a healthy way. You're not going to lose any muscle. You're going to feel amazing. And it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take you months to lose. If you got 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds, it's going to take you months. But this is how you stay healthy and lose weight forever. Where that fat goes off and it doesn't come back unless you overeat. If you're someone who weighs 200 pounds and you say, oh boy, I feel great, I look great, well, you do the maintenance formula. You put your weight in, you times it by 15, and that's your daily calories. So you eat 3,000 calories a day, plus or minus a little bit, right? One day you can eat 3,100, one day you can eat 29. You don't have to be super crazy about it, but this is generally the recommendation to maintain your weight. Let's say you're one of the lucky people who's like, you know what, I want to eat way more food than I do. I want to gain weight because I have a lot of room to grow. You have your weight. You times it by 15, and then you add 100 to 1,000, and that's your daily calories. It's really just a simple math problem, guys. It really is. And we know why it's a math problem, because you can eat all vegetables all day and all stuff, but at night if you have a couple slices of pizza and you go 500 calories over what you're supposed to eat, you're going to gain weight. It's just the fact. Even if you just ate carrots, you ate 3,500 calories of carrots, you're 1,000 over this, you're going to gain weight. And so they tell us, general speaking, but I like to be specific because this is how we can help people directly and they can see tangible results. So why do I bring up protein? Well, we've established that we want to maintain muscle. Muscle helps us with our health, our bones, our metabolism. So the equation for protein is you plug in your weight, and if you want to start from the beginner section, because 1.3 grams per pound, that's like weightlifters. But for the normal person, 0.8 times your weight equals the grams of protein you should eat daily. So why is this important, right? Why am I sitting up here rambling about equations? Well, I'll just give you this example. Here's salmon. You might not see the numbers, but per serving on this nutritional label is 179 calories. But notice it has 20 grams of protein. So you're building up those numbers towards your protein goal for the day. But let's say you start off the morning and your kid or your friend or someone left some Oreos on the kitchen table. And you say, man, there's 6 Oreos on the kitchen table. So that's 2 servings of 3 cookies. You just had 320 calories and only 2 grams of protein. How hard is it for you to hit your numbers or stay under your nutritional numbers as you're doing that? Another example of like a healthy food like almonds, well, it's 140 calories, but it only has 6 grams of protein. So you want to find balance. You don't want, almonds are healthy. You don't want to eat a ton of things like almonds. You don't want to eat a ton of peanut butter unless you're trying to gain weight. So when you look at a nutritional label, really pay attention to the calories per serving and the protein per serving. Why track our calories? Well, because overeating has grave long-term consequences for our nation, for our people, for our relationships, for everything. Weight gain and obesity, increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, impaired brain function, digestive system damage, mental health issues, and more. When we overeat and when we eat bad foods, it destroys us from the inside out. And it's really harmful. And so in our country, we celebrate a lot, or we see people that overeat, they're really jolly. But we love them, we care about them, but we also have to have hard conversations about like, I don't want you to get sick. I care about you. I don't want you to suffer because you're going to go to the doctor. He's not going to sit here for an hour and tell you about equations. He's going to say, you want a shot? Or do you want some pills? Or to go see a specialist? You cannot outwork a bad diet. Some of the best athletes in the world will tell you this. For them, they're millionaires. These guys are, Stephen Curry, all these, they make $100 million. And they still got to eat really, really good because if I eat a jelly donut, that's 300 calories, and it takes me an hour to burn 200 calories, I got to walk for an hour and a half to burn off that jelly donut. You know, and you'll meet people that are going through that. I've been there like tracking everything and going, okay, well, if I just work out until I'm close to having a heart attack, I'll burn off, you know, that whole pizza I just ate. Well, it's just not logical. It's not logical, and we suffer because of it. So we have to find foods that are nutritionally good, nutrient dense within the calories we're eating, and have a lot of protein. So that way we can make it through our day and have good numbers. And you know, I hate to say, it doesn't mean you can't cheat. You can cheat. You can have a slice of pizza. You can have 2 slices of pizza. But we all know a lot of people who have 6 or 8 slices of pizza. And so 8 slices of pizza is 2,400 calories. You can eat a whole bag of Doritos and a Pepsi and you're still hungry. Why? There's no nutrients. There's no nutrients. And then there's a lot of people that we meet that they eat and they think they're hungry, but they're really thirsty. You ever met anyone, you're like, do I ever see you drink? Ever? I never see a glass of water or anything around you. It's because like you think we're hungry, but we're actually thirsty sometimes. So it's much easier to lose fat mass than it is to gain muscle mass. Anybody that you see in the magazines that looks ripped and shredded and has an amazing body, it's because they've lost fat. It's very difficult to build muscle. You can work out really, really hard for 3 or 4 months and gain 5 to 10 pounds of muscle. But if you work out really hard for 4 months, you could lose 50 pounds of fat. you can really, really lose fat. So nutrition is key. So I put some examples up here. These are just general. For our, if we have any vegans or vegetarians, there's veganhealth.com, vegetariantimes.com. I love you guys. We'll honor you too. Proteins are the typical ones: chicken, beef, eggs, fish, nuts, seeds, beans. Sneaky trick, guys: kidney beans, really good numbers. Yogurts are really good. Greek yogurt. Hey guys, don't buy sour cream. Buy Greek yogurt. Tastes exactly the same. The protein numbers are amazing on Greek yogurt. All right, plant-based alternatives. Oats. Hey, you want to have a protein oatmeal? Make some oatmeal and throw a scoop of protein powder in there. Boom. Your numbers are way better now, and it tastes really good. Avocados. Fats. Same. Avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil. You know, for the people that are lucky that are trying to gain weight, you can throw olive oil on everything and avocados. You know, cheese, dark chocolate, yogurt, coconut oil. And carbs: oats, brown rice, sweet potatoes, bananas, apples, etc. The thing is you can have a really great life and eat super healthy. And you can feel good, and yeah, like, hey man, at the end of the day, I did my protein goal, I got 200 calories left, I'm gonna eat a couple Oreos. No problem, it's fine. Because remember, it's just math. The Oreo ain't gonna kill you if it's at the end of the day and you had a couple.
Oh, I had a question.
Sure.
What was the asterisk for? Like, I see it says some and then asterisk, but then I see it next to
Some, because I want to respect you guys. These are just some examples.
Okay, so
Everyone's got different culture. Like in my culture, we have 12 collard greens. We have different types of beans that we love, dermoles, and so dermoles is a very good one with protein. So these are just some examples, right? And I really respect and honor everyone eats differently. Like we have some people who are vegans and vegetarians as well. The scale is a helpful tool, as we've established. The scale is our friend. It's informative. It allows us to calculate our calories, but BMI, body mass index, and the scale is not a healthy measure of your true body composition and overall health. And that really saddens me. I've been around people who have dealt with eating disorders that they focus on this. And there's a lot of people that their body composition isn't built for health, but they have a low weight. It's just a fact. And there's people that are gigantic and strong, but they have very low fat. And they're athletes. And so this is why that Taylor's tape, for $1, you can go to the store and buy some Taylor's tape, and you will be able to give yourself a great measure of your overall health. And that measure is body fat percentage. So the Taylor's tape is an easy way to measure your body fat. The body fat percentage is important because it provides a more accurate picture of your overall health than simply monitoring your weight. We want to know how much fat we have on our body. This is a chart that shows the recommended fat for people, male and female. Obviously, women have babies, like this beautiful baby here, and women have to carry more fat, so that's okay. So the essential fat on a woman is 10 to 13%, whereas on a man it's 2 to 5%, right? And so athletes are 14 to 20 for women, 6 to 13 for men. These are important things to understand because we're not all built the same. For men and for women, you take a measurement of your waist. So the thinnest part of your waist, you get the Taylor's tape and you measure it. The easiest way is to look into the mirror. So you measure it. So usually it's right below the ribs right here. You'll see it. There's like a little spot. That's your spot above the belly button. You measure your waist. For women, we have a lot of women who you also measure your hips. So when you click on the female button of this equation, the hips will show up and you'll punch that in. So you also measure your hips, your buttocks, your hips, the thickest part, you measure that too. And then you measure your neck. So for men, it's right underneath the Adam's apple. For women, it's the same, the larynx right there. The website is calculator.net, and it has a body fat calculator. And this is a way that with just a $1 Taylor's tape, you can tell yourself your body fat in private every day. You can go in the mirror, nobody knows. You don't have to see a doctor, nothing. And the other thing too is you want to record your height. What matters most is, are you a male or female? Height, neck, waist, and hips for women. Hydration, something that I don't hear a lot of people talk about. They talk about nutrition, they don't talk about hydration. Hydration is so important. We die so much faster from not drinking than from not eating. And not only do you need water, you need electrolytes. The equation here when it comes to hydration is to drink half your weight to your full weight in ounces of fluid per day. So if I weigh 200 pounds, I need to be drinking at least 100 ounces of fluids every day, and upwards to 200 ounces. So I highly suggest to incorporate electrolytes into your drinks using powders like magnesium, potassium, or sodium based. If you guys notice, has anyone drinking a Gatorade before? If you look at the back, it always has like a little bit higher on the sodium, because that's a sodium based electrolyte drink. And sodium is the cheapest electrolyte, so that's why a lot of the drinks choose sodium. But you can use something like food grade cream of tartar, which is a byproduct of the winemaking process that has potassium. You hear a lot of people say, hey, be careful about having too much potassium. Has anyone ever heard that before? I just wanted to say that you really got to be working hard to get there. You got to eat like 10 or 13 bananas or whatever. But always follow what the packages recommend. So with potassium, you can use cream of tartar. With magnesium, there's a lot of magnesium supplements, which I actually highly suggest magnesium because you don't have to worry about overdosing. It also helps you with your sleep. And then there's sodium. Understand that more often than not, you may be thirsty when you think you're hungry. You might have friends, I'm hungry, let's go somewhere. And it's like, you might be thirsty. let's drink a glass of water and see if you're still hungry. So I'm so happy we have a large female audience because this book, I read it. An amazing book for women, an amazing book for young ladies, for people that are raising young girls. This doctor, she's wonderful. The Microbiome Solution by Robin Schukan, I think is the way. Great book for women. It's a great book for everyone, but it's particularly, it answers some of the things you just brought up. She really goes in. Brain by David Perlmutter. If you have anyone in your family who's diabetic, anyone who's dealing with signs of dementia, or you're trying to support a friend with dementia, fantastic book on the subject of carbohydrates. And then the Adrenal Reset Diet. I think it's a great book for people that are dealing with stress and they want to get on a diet that helps you kind of reset your system. This isn't something you want to do for the rest of your life, but it helps you understand nutrition on a very functional level, because remember how I said earlier, guys, like we need all the macronutrients. So like keto would be like, hey, don't eat any carbs. Well, I need something to help me sleep at night. I want to eat a sandwich, or I want to eat, something carby at night. And that explains it. You actually do need those things. So sleep. Some benefits of sleep. Stronger immune health, improved heart health, healthy weight management, muscular repair, healing and recovery, reduced stress, improved mood, and better cognitive function. Some risk factors from sleep. Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, cognitive decline, and poor behavior. Has anyone ever bought like a cheap iPhone charger or a cheap phone charger at a gas station? And then you're like, I paid $10 for this. Why is it my phone charges and then it loses the battery really fast? That's what poor sleep is for you. You're supposed to be charging your battery. You wake up, you're like, all right, let's go. And you're ready to go to bed. So here are some tips for sleep. I think making sure your bedroom is dark is really helpful. There's a lot of science to that. I'm a gigantic fan of ambient noise. I sleep every night to a thunderstorm. That is my sleep of choice. And I highly suggest if you have neighbors that are loud, or they blare their music or slam their doors, ambient noise is a great solution to getting rid of that background noise. Here's a huge one, guys. Avoid eating food at least 2 hours before bed. Food, we're digesting our food, we're laying down. Like if any of us have ever burped at night or struggled or had pains or weird things, a lot of that has to do with eating too close to bedtime. And it can affect your sleep, and it can cause apneas. The other thing is if you're eating salty foods before bed, you can get inflammation and swelling in your throat, and that can cause apneas as well. I think this goes without saying, not smoking and not drinking helps with everything. Engage in daily physical activity. Avoid caffeine, for 8 hours before bed. Avoid taking naps too late in the day. If it's late in the day and you're sleepy, but you got to be up early the next morning, hey, can I make it to my regular bedtime? You'll sleep much better. Try to keep the room temperature cold. Ideally 65 degrees. So we live in the valley, most of us keep our ACs at 78, right? So yeah, it's not easy to get it down to 65. But what I would suggest is pay attention to what you wear to bed. What's the material that you're wearing? What are the kinds of sheets you have on the bed? Like those little things can make a big difference. You know, having a sleep routine is a form of self-love. Putting the right sheets on the bed, wearing the right, whatever you're comfortable in. Some people love to have fans on. Limit stimulating electronics before bed. I'm not going to tell you not to use your phone. But if you're watching like murder on, you know, Dateline murder today, or like alien agenda, you know, theory that, you know, they abduct people while they're sleeping, it's like, if that helps you sleep, that's good. But if it's too exciting, it might not be good for you before bed, okay? And this is good advice too. You know, we have, you know, teenagers in our lives, young people. Oh, Mom, I can't ever, you know, sleep good. It's like, well, why are you playing video games till 3 o'clock in the morning? That's too stimulating. It's a stimulating activity. It's hard to fall asleep. How long should we sleep? Well, for most of us in this room, 7 to 9 hours a night. That's good. You don't want to sleep too low. You don't want to sleep too much. Too much sleep can be bad too.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I'll say to you is obviously if we're sick, we need more sleep, right? And if you need recovery, so like let's say you're really sore or you're just really, really tired, and it's because you had a hard workout or a hard day's work, yeah, it's okay to sleep a little bit more. The healthiest sleep position, they say, is ideally to sleep on the left side because of your gastric juices, but what's important is what works for you, right? Sleep supplements, I mentioned magnesium earlier. I threw cannabis in there because they said it in the science and it's funny. So I know, it's but melatonin. But if you want to get the best bang for your buck, magnesium, because it's an electrolyte too. So you can use it before bed, you can use it for your exercises, all that. So here are some great books. This book right here, I highly recommend. It talks about nasal breathing, The Oxygen Advantage by Patrick McCune. Sleep Smarter and the Sleep Solution. Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson is a great book. It really breaks down sleeping. And The Sleep Solution by Chris Winter is also a great book on sleep, how to fix your sleep. So let's get into emotional wellness. So here's some statistics. 2021, during the pandemic, 23% of U.S. adults reported having mental health. These are people that reported it. Not everyone that we know deals with it. 46% chance of U.S. adults experiencing mental health condition in their life. 19% of adults deal with anxiety disorders. 8% with depression. 4% with post-traumatic stress. And nearly 1 billion people worldwide have dealt with mental health disorders that are reported. And I think we all know those numbers seem very low. Because I think all of us can say we've met people in our life that are struggling in some way, maybe even us ourselves. Mental health is something that's been kind of stripped away, I believe, a little bit in this nation. They used to put a lot of money into mental health, now it's become for profit, and there's a lot of barriers for people to reach the emotional connection and help that they need. And because of that, there's a lot of consequences, right? And so when I used to teach relationship education, I used to have couples from all over the county come in, and we would talk about the 4 relational safeties, which I think is really, really applicable to everything in life. And so here they are. Commitment safety. Whether it's our job, whether it's our friendships, whether it's our intimate relationships, our marriage, or whatever, our family, we want to feel a sense of commitment that gives us safety. It improves our mental health. It helps us feel better about ourselves. It increases our productivity because if you feel safe and committed to, well, gosh, now I got to be a go-getter and go get things done. So this is a really strong pillar of your life and your emotional well-being. Community safety. We all know how important this right here is. A beautiful thing. We're all together. We were strangers before today, and now we look around the room, we know each other. You can say, hey, Dee, can I have your email? Da, 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 da. Or hey, so-and-so, let's connect. Community in our family, in our school. Oh, you went to Hanford High? Me too. Well, let's talk. Oh, you go to Planet Fitness? Me too. We're a community there. It's really important. And so what happens when that's compromised? When we feel alone? When we don't feel commitment? That can affect our emotional wellness, right? But when we have community, when we feel community, we feel reduced stress and anxiety. We feel improved social connections. reduce risk of isolation, improve quality of life. And this room right here is a perfect example of people that go out and search for community. Because you guys came here today, just like I said earlier about the bagel, you're not waiting for people to create community for you, you're doing it yourself. This is a part of self-love, this is a part of your emotional wellness, right? This beautiful baby here. If you have a baby and you just keep them in the house all the time and never, be afraid to go out, don't do this, don't do that, they're not going to be connected to community. Their community is going to be just one person in our home. But you bring them to events, you go to the car, you do this, they have confidence, they feel good, they feel a sense of something, a sense of pride. I'm a part of Hanford, I'm a part of California, on and on. It's a beautiful thing. I worked in domestic violence, and I've been a part of a lot of different programs in law enforcement. Physical safety is really important. It's something that sometimes we might not think about, maybe we haven't experienced certain things, but feeling safe, literally, physically. Like the people that I'm around are not gonna harm me. If I have a neighbor who has a dog, the dog's not gonna bite me. If I put my kids in the yard, nobody's gonna go snatch my kids out the yard. These are all things that we might not think about all the time, but it's a huge importance to our lives, particularly if it's compromised. But I would add to this, the physical safety nowadays is also your physical health, your nutrition, your fitness, how you take care of yourself. It protects you from harm. The more resilience you have in your body, it's 115 degrees outside, you're not as sick. Reducing stress and anxiety, taking care of yourself, being around good people, being physically safe. It improves your mental health, makes you more confident, and it improves your productivity and your focus. Feeling safe, being safe, the general does that. The last one I'll say is emotional safety. Obviously, we all connect, we want to feel safe. We have relationships, family, we all have heard the stories of family problems, people stop talking, so on and so forth. But it's really important for us to be around people where we feel safe, we can connect, even when we disagree. Even when we disagree, even when we make mistakes, we still come back together and we connect. It helps with improved relationships. When you feel like you can have open communication and say exactly how you feel, that's safe. I'm Portuguese. My family, it sounds like we're about to kill each other, but we're just having a normal conversation because we're all open communicators. And someone who's not a part of my culture might be like, wow, you guys are really arguing. It's like, no, it's Tuesday. We're just talking. But we feel emotionally safe to say the things that, may seem uncomfortable for others, right? Trust and connection and enhanced resilience. You want to build confidence. You want to be around people that let you be yourself, that you don't want to be fitting into a box for the world. You want to be your own, unique, wonderful person. And I'm going to use an example of PTSD. The example that I want to share is that one of the studies that was done on post-traumatic stress was, isn't it weird that sometimes we'll meet someone and they've gone through the worst thing ever. They'll tell us about it. Oh, I went through this awful thing, but they're fine. The way they talk about it, the way they handle it, the way their life has progressed. Maybe they started a family, they have their own kids now, they're traumatized in different ways. These people, why is it generally that way? Why is it generally more often than not you see a person going through something and they're fine? Or maybe you see someone who went through post-traumatic stress and they're not okay. They're not okay, they're never okay, they're always anxious and they're always in a high state of fear. The study shows that how we receive people after PTSD informs the vicarious traumatization of PTSD itself. So when I used to work domestic violence, we had our emergency teams that went out to the calls. The reason that the cops had us go there was because the PTSD itself was awful, but how you're treated when you're going through PTSD and how people treat you if you say, I've been raped or I've been abused or what have you, it can solidify the PTSD inside of you. Whereas, if you have PTSD and you go through an awful thing and you are brought into a beautiful community that loves you and supports you and is committed to you and creates an environment for you to feel safe, it's easier to heal from that. You might meet someone in your life and say, man, they never get over this, or they never do this, or they never do that. And it's, rather than judging, it's good for us to understand. Just understand why that might be, why this journey could be different for them, or why, man, that person went through heck and they're amazing. Well, they could have had, you know, a really great support system. So it's not to say that it's for everyone, but I just wanted to share that nugget with you guys. So we have a moment. Do you guys want to try a little exercise? Okay, I'm going to talk you through it, but I want you to also do it in your head, okay, guys? So I want everyone to close their eyes. You don't have to because you're rocking a bass. I don't want you to follow. But I want everybody that can to close their eyes, and I'm going to guide you through this, okay, guys? And as I guide you through this, I'm going to create my own scenario that I'll be saying, okay? And I want you guys to think about this as a way of solving problems, or to try to understand a problem in your life. Maybe a way you feel about yourself, maybe a way you feel about another person. For this example, I'll use the way a person might feel about themselves. So the first question you ask yourself, or the first thing you do is you say, what is going on? So in this scenario, I'm going to choose for the person, I feel inadequate. Okay, so I want you guys to choose anything. It can be a feeling you have about yourself, it could be a feeling you have about another person or a situation. In my choice, I said, for the person I'm talking about, I feel inadequate. The first question we ask ourselves is it true? Is it true? So in my case, is it true that I feel inadequate? Yes, it is true for me. I just stated that I feel inadequate. It is true. The next question that you ask yourself about the thing you're thinking is, can you absolutely know that it is true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? That is an absolute truth that you feel inadequate or that you are inadequate. And I can say, I know absolutely that I feel inadequate, but I don't think that I am inadequate 100%, like universally speaking. Like there's been times in my life that I've been very adequate. Although I feel inadequate now, I don't feel inadequate universally and for my whole life. The third question you ask yourself about the thing you're thinking right now is, how do you react when you believe the thought that you're having right now? In my case, feeling inadequate. Well, when I feel inadequate, I don't want to be social, I don't want to connect to people, I just stay by myself, I feel depressed, I get down, I become judgmental. That's how I feel, that's how I react when I believe the thought that I am inadequate. The fourth question that you ask yourself about the issue that you're thinking of is, who would you be without that thought? Who would you be without the thought? Who would I be if I didn't think I was inadequate? Well, gosh, I'd be confident. I'd be a real go-getter. I'd be talking to people and helping people out and making sure others were okay. I'd be creating my dream list and my vision board and doing all these fun things, because I wouldn't be spending my time thinking I wasn't good enough. I'd be thinking I was good enough, and I'd want to hang out with other people that feel good too. And that, my friends, is Byron Katie's the Word. And it can help you walk through any kind of challenges you're dealing with. You know, because we get anxious. We start telling ourselves things. Every single day we wake up, oh, I'm this, or so-and-so's that, or this is that, or that's that. And it's nice to have a little tool that you can use to work through, well, is it really true? How do I feel when I think that this guy is annoying? And I project my anger on this guy. And then if I didn't think he was annoying, well, I probably wouldn't put so much effort into him. I'd be focused on other things. I'd be doing, positive things. So some other emotional wellness tips to tend to your garden. Now, I'm not saying mind your own business. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is everyone has a garden of themselves. And we should tend to it. You should be picking the weeds of your garden. You should be planting the seeds, taking care of your garden, because that's your life. That's the beautiful thing. How often do we run into people that are really loving people, and they go out of their way to help everyone else, but the last person they take care of is their garden. Because it's everyone else I got to take care of. But the main thing is you got to tend to your garden. It's very important. Plant the seeds and pick the weeds. And one of the books I'm going to share with you talks about this. Everyone has different spiritual beliefs, which I respect. But leave ultimate justice to a higher power. I find it to be a very stress-relieving thing when I work with people, survivors of abuse, different types of issues. If you're walking around just angry about things people have done to you, or this or this or that, it can eat you from the inside. I know that all too well. We all have experienced different things. And so understanding that you have something bigger than you, whatever you believe, we all know there's something bigger than us. Literally, this building is bigger, this community is bigger. So, bigger than the individual. Leave it to the system. Leave it to whatever it is you believe in. And so some affirmations. I think affirmations are really good. You know, there's a lot of great YouTube affirmations if you're ever dealing with anything. You know, some things that I wrote down here is our struggles do not define us. It's not definitive if we're going through something. We are worthy of happiness and peace of mind. It's very important to say that to yourself if you're going through stuff. I am worthy of being happy. I am worthy of having peace. We are not alone in our struggles. You know, I'm going to give you some resources after this, but you know, whether it's friends, family, confidentiality, I think I'm going to end up doing a presentation on AI now, based off of what I heard here, because AI is like amazing for connecting and all kinds of stuff, but we're not alone. It's okay to ask for support when we need it. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. The worst thing that can happen is someone says no. Well, that's fine, we move on to the next. It's not a reflection of us. We are not a burden for seeking help with our mental health. And mental health is a journey of self-discovery and growth. So, of course, we talked about failure being informative in fitness. Well, failure is informative in life, mental health, all of those things. It's part of your journey. If your journey was like, man, I just won everything since birth. Everything I've ever done is 100%. Every relationship I ever had is amazing. You know, that's just not life for most people, right? So we have to deal with things, and it's a great way of discovery and growth. One cool thing I heard, a business lady that was raising her daughter, every time her daughter failed, she used to say, give me 5. And the daughter was like, okay, and people ask, well, why do you do that? And she goes, because failure is good. That's how she's going to learn. That's how she's going to be the best. She's going to learn from her failure. So I don't want her to think failure is bad and become scared. And then we don't do because we're afraid. So here are some resources. You know, if you know anybody that's struggling, the 988 crisis hotline, it's great for even, you know, for people that, these are all great tools for people. You don't have to be ready to end your life. You could be just struggling and having bad thoughts. You can call them, you can get amazing professional help for free from 988, Kings County, findtreatment.gov, and the National Alliance on Mental Health. Anybody who wants these slides, I'll send them to you too. And so these are some great books. I highly, highly recommend all 3 of these books. The happiness one has some amazing nuggets. That's by David Niven, 100 Simple Secrets of Happy People. Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard is an amazing book. It's like 42 pages, and it really, really touches deep into how you think. You know, the meaning you give things creates your reality. You know, it's a really good book on that. And then the book on boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. Amazing book on boundaries. It talks about boundaries with your kids, boundaries with your partner, boundaries at work. It's very, very robust in what it gives you in terms of information on how to handle healthy boundaries. Because boundaries can be extremely connective. It's like, boundaries don't have to be negative. They can be really intimate and connective. So, thank you guys so much for your time. We do have some time if anyone wants to stick around and talk or has any questions. This is my email, heydédalo@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for your time.